Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chicagoland Baseball Chronicles, episode number 1. And got my man Bill Haley with me, my co-host.
How's everything going, Bo? Good to see you this evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we got the legendary Roman Bailey in the house. What's up, Rome?
Hey, Bo Rab, how you feel, bro?
Oh, I'm all good, man. It's just a pleasure, man, to, be the one to do an interview with you, brother.
Okay.
Big time. You're a Simeon alumni, Chicago man, Askew Pirate, the legendary Steel City Pirates, the whole shenanigans, baby.
Okay.
We're gonna get straight to it, Bill. What you say, man?
Yeah, I say let's get straight to it.
Yes, sir.
So, Rome, the first thing I'd like to know is kind of give us a background on your baseball experience before high school, like the youth days. What were some of the teams you played on? Some of those parks your name was ringing out in, and some of the coaches who really influenced you before high school.
Okay. Where I started out at Hamilton Park, that was really where I got my start at 70th and Normal. I lived right there at the corner, right across the street from the park. My mom had a habit of moving around, but every time she moved, she always seemed to move around the park.
Okay.
So, Hamilton Park was the last stop. And once we got to Hamilton Park, and I saw what was going on as a kid, as a little leaguer, talking about 7, 8, 9 years old, it was like nothing that I had ever seen before. Because I was not even interested in baseball until I got to Hamilton Park. And I lived in the building right on the corner there. And in the building that I lived in, Bo Ellis lived on the 3rd floor.
Wow, Big Bo, my man Bo Ellis.
Floor, the same building. And David Hunter lived on the 2nd floor. So they had already stayed in the neighborhood. So they told me to come over to the park, and get on a little league team.
Bo Ellis too. Bo Ellis played baseball.
Bo Ellis played baseball. Yep, he did.
Wow, y'all hear that, folks? Go for it, baby.
So yeah, it started right there at Hamilton Park. And once I saw what was going on, I just got excited and just joined in.
Okay. Shoot, Bill.
Who were some of the coaches? Do you remember any of those coaches back in the early days that kind of developed that love of baseball in it for you?
Well, my stepfather. Now this is from Little League to Pony League to Connie Mack, to semi-pro. Well, all the way to Connie Mack. That's where I played at Hamilton Park. And my stepfather was actually the coach of the Connie Mack team. So once we got old enough to go to Connie Mack, then I played on his team, which was called the Pirates. Actually, it was the Pirates.
The Pirates too.
Yep, it was the Pirates, but we had red uniforms.
When did Askew come along, man? See,
Askew
and what years are we talking about? What years? Because you 70, man. I didn't realize you was 70 years old because you was gassing. By the time I got to playing in the semi-pro league, you was still throwing gas and heating niggas up.
Well, now when you say 70, to me that's foreign. I don't feel it myself. So
you don't look
even imagine me to be saying something, and saying that I'm 70 years old. I'm really amazed. I'm blessed and I'm amazed and I'm grateful.
You look good, man. You look good, man.
I'm really grateful, because if it wasn't for Hamilton Park, then I would have never got to start. But anyway, I played Connie Mack with my father, with my stepfather, and actually he had scheduled a game with Askew Pirates.
Right.
And they came to Hamilton Park and played against us. And they were actually, I had never heard of them before, but for some reason, when he scheduled that game, it got I connected with the team. We were both Pirates playing against each other. And I just looked at how Askew was handling the team.
Right.
And, he treated all of his players like they were his son.
Right.
He really had a good relationship with them. And that's what I really admired and respected about Roosevelt Askew.
Did they have them sweet uniforms then too?
Oh yeah, they had sweet uniforms from the beginning, all the way through. So that was something that, of course, that was impressive, you know. And actually, Mr. Berkeley, what you know about Mr. Berkeley,
Berkeley
he was
Angels.
the sponsor. He was the sponsor of our team. We were the first team that he sponsored.
He was the
in
sponsor
Hamilton
of
Park.
your team.
Yes, yes, he sponsored. You know, when we got out of the Pirates, then we went to a semi-pro, and that was the Berkeley Fields. So we had the Berkeley Fields, and that was like maroon and gray uniforms, and he had his name Berkeley on the back, Berkeley Furniture Store right there.
Exactly.
So that's how we got connected with Mr. Berkeley.
So you played with the Connie Mac team, and then when Berkeley went to semi-pro, you were still with him. You hadn't went with Askew yet. When did Q come along?
Q didn't come along, and I didn't play with Askew until I got back from the Kansas City Royals.
Okay.
Wow. See, I didn't know. See, I didn't know that. Okay.
Because all I know is high school stuff. We got to get this high school stuff in before.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to Simeon. Let's start with Simeon.
Simeon in the house. You see in the background. Come on with it. It ain't my fault you went.
It ain't. I'm representing here. Simeon.
Yes, that what I'm talking about, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm talking about, man. It ain't my fault. Hey, man, it ain't my fault you went to Simeon. You went to the warehouse.
That's where it began. Actually, it was called Westcott. It wasn't even Simeon when I went there.
Exactly, yeah.
It's called Westcott, and the school, with it being a Kroger warehouse, all of the kids in the neighborhood will always make fun of the warehouse. Oh, you going to the warehouse?
I know it. I know that story.
I tried to get in Lindblom, but my test scores wasn't high enough.
But I went there too. I went there first, Ron.
Yeah.
Wow. So at Simeon, you played just baseball. What else you did? You played basketball too, did you?
Okay, I was on the basketball team, and he would let me play every now and then because, see, baseball was priority. The coach of the baseball team, his name was Coach Shea. He coached the baseball and the basketball team. We only had one coach. We only had one floor. We had 3 floors in the warehouse, but all of the classes were on the 3rd floor.
Wow.
The 2nd floor was the gym. The gym wasn't even built. Wow. We would have to go downstairs, doing gym just so we could run around, because it was all open. They were still remodeling and building.
I didn't know that either.
So we only had 1 floor. That was on the 3rd floor.
This is more history. More history. Wow.
So the gym
what year?
With the tunnel.
Go ahead, Bill.
What year are you entering high school? I want to kind of set a framework for people watching. What year are you entering high school?
65.
65. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
65.
Cool. Now, when you left, wait a minute. When you were at Simeon, who were some of the players that you played against? And what section? What schools was it? Y'all playing against the white schools? Was it? How did that go?
We played against Carver. We played against CVS, South Shore, Calumet. Now I'm gonna say Calumet. We played against Bogan. We played against Morgan Park. We played against all of those. We in our section.
Those are white schools, then, huh?
Yeah, actually, Calumet was almost overdominantly white. And it was really like a challenge because Calumet was, they were right next door to us. Mm-hmm. So, that was like a arch rival to us. So, with me playing baseball, the coach, he didn't really want me to play basketball, but he put me on the team anyway. I got a chance to play in a couple of games and all of that. But he didn't want me to get hurt because I was the only pitcher on our team that was a real pitcher.
Wow.
So I played every position at Simeon on the baseball field: catcher, center field, first base, third base, second. I played all those positions. So when I wasn't pitching, I was playing other positions. We had some of the basketball players on the baseball team, and of course they wasn't baseball players, but we had to fill the team out.
So I take for granted y'all wasn't that good.
He was not that good. And this is the amazing thing, bro. This is so amazing. Now, my last year at Simeon was 1968.
Right.
I made all city in 1968. I'm still trying to figure out what did I do to make All City in 1968. We probably only won about 3, 4, 5 games.
Throwing that gas, dude. You was throwing that heat, baby.
You
You
know,
was throwing that heat. So
I
after,
know, I know the most pivotal game that I pitched was against Calumet, and Calumet was getting ready to go to City. And I played against Richard Reels. Richard Reels
Richie
actually,
Reels, the referee.
he was actually, played with me at Kennedy King after we went to. After I graduated from Simeon and went to Wilson Junior College, which it was called before it was called Kennedy King. Richard Reels was my second baseman at Kennedy King. So Rich was playing at Calumet, and they were going for City. They had to beat us in order to go to City. Now, I was pitching the game, and I was pitching a no-hitter.
Wow.
And they had to win that game in order to go to City.
Right.
Rich Reels came up to bat in the last inning, and somehow he got his bat on the ball. He'll tell you the story better than I can. He tell me this story every time I see him. He remind me of how he got
told me in the shop. He didn't told me in the shop.
Yep, and they went to City as a result of him getting a hit off of me. I'm pitching a no-hitter now. That was the only hit.
You don't know how he put the bat on the ball, huh?
I don't know, but I know one thing: they didn't get any hits. But like every time they would hit the ball, my players they couldn't catch the ball, so they made a lot of errors.
Right.
So it was like I had to compete against that. So it was just a challenge. But the main thing that I loved about the experience was having fun.
I heard that, Rome. I heard that.
Fun. That was all about having fun. That was the whole key right there.
I heard that. I got another thing. After Simeon, what'd you do for college? How did that go?
Okay, so I went to Wilson Junior College, and
I thought you went to Kennedy King first.
Kennedy King. Right, they changed the name to Kennedy King.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. I'm talking too fast. You say you went to Wilson.
Yes. That was Kennedy King. It was called Wilson.
Oh, here we go. More history.
Yeah. So as a result, now this was during the Vietnam War time, right? So
Vietnam, right?
Like I had they would give everybody had a draft number. So my draft number was like about 225.
Wow.
And they were taking everybody. They start with one and go all the way up. And if they hit your number, you had to go. Fortunately, I didn't have to go. And since I was playing sports in college, my coach, he went to bat for me to say, that, I wasn't eligible to go to war. So that really kept me from going to Vietnam.
Okay, that's good. Okay, that's a good one.
Now, as a result of me being at Kennedy King for those 2 years, waiting to find out what my status would be as far as my career, I got a scholarship to Union University in Jackson, Tennessee. Now, that was about 2 blocks away from Lane College, all black school in Jackson, Tennessee. And Union University was 98% white, a Baptist college, Christian college. But they gave me a scholarship. So I went. Actually, I tried to get in Tuskegee, and they didn't let me in there. I wanted to go to Tuskegee.
Right.
But they didn't let me in. So I went to Union. And when I got there, that was a great experience because the coach that was there, for some reason, he had scouted me at Kennedy King. And when I got down there and I found out who he was, he told me that he was the one that was going to bat for me as far as me getting the scholarship to Union University. And they had a program down there that was awesome. I mean, we played against Miami, Florida State. We played against all of the top Southern schools, played against Jackson State. That's another story right there. When I went to Jackson State,
who was on the team? Anybody we know from here?
From here. Well, actually, one of the guys that got drafted out of Jackson State, his name was Willie Clark, and he was a top pitcher. And when we played against them, It was Willie Clark and me pitching head to head against each other. Now, with me being the only black player on the white team playing against an all-black school, ace against ace, they were cheering for me. The
Wow.
Jackson State alumni, the people in the fans, they were cheering for me. They weren't cheering for me to win, but they were cheering for me. So that was a good thing. But actually,
something happened with your sound.
Ended up splitting the doubleheader with them.
So it was out of Union University that you were drafted. You were drafted by Kansas City out of Union University.
Wrong. Oh, we got some interference, y'all. We got technical difficulties.
Just went black. Okay.
So it was out of Union University that Kansas City drafted you. Now, what year is this? This is maybe 72, 73? 71. So now, do you think that experience at Union University playing against that tough competition, so you're leaving Chicago, you're leaving South Side environment, all white university, did that kind of help prepare you for the minor leagues?
It actually did. It really did, because the competition was really tough. My first year at Union, wasn't that good, but it was I could see some promising results as far as me getting acclimated, to college life and everything. And my second year was really my better year, and that's where I got drafted out of from that year.
Did you know at the time that the scouts from Kansas City were following you, or was it a surprise to you when you heard your name called in the draft?
I wasn't surprised, because actually it was something that I had dreamed about when I was a little kid, as far as what my vision was. I had that vision real early, even when I was in Little League. My vision and my goal was to become a professional ball player. I would write it down. I would play baseball every day. We played strikeout. You know about that. All of the things that needed to be done to prepare myself for what was to come. That's what I did.
Absolutely. A lot of strikeout.
So when the draft came, it was no doubt that you were going to go. You were going to take advantage of this opportunity that you had been dreaming about since a kid. And where did you start out in the minor leagues? Where did they send you?
Okay, I hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I could barely hear you.
Okay, I'm going to speak up a little bit. So you got this experience at Union University. You're pitching against all these big time colleges. When you got to the minor leagues, where did they send you? Where was your first stop in the minor leagues?
Okay, they sent me to Kingsport, Tennessee.
Ooh,
Kingsport, that was the 8-ball.
Staying in Tennessee.
Yeah. Kingsport, Tennessee. Kingsport Royals.
Okay. And how did you compete at that level?
I had a pretty good year. It was like, because I had started a few games, and then it was like, I could see where, what I needed to do, because I didn't really get any help as far as, where I was going or what I needed to do, what I needed to change or anything. And that was one of the real problems that I saw when I got there, because when I got there, I'm going to go to spring training. We'll start out with spring training, because once I got drafted and went to spring training and saw all of the major league ball players, this is in major league camp now, spring training, all of the ball players, Amos Otis, Cookie Rojas, John Mayberry, all these players were down there. And so they would mix in the minor league ball players with the major league ball players and play spring training games. So I got a chance to pitch against major leaguers in my first year down there. And I think, I kind of impressed them with that in the beginning. And that's what really, got me started.
Okay. So you mentioned a couple names that people are going to recognize: Amos Otis, Cookie Rojas, names that we're all familiar with. What kind of influence did those guys have on you when you stepped into the minor leagues? Did they help? Did they, like a guy like Amos Otis, did he welcome you, or what was that relationship like?
Okay, there was no relationship at all with them, because they were, they were sort of like set to the side. Okay. So we basically, because we were staying in the academy at that time. That was the year
Kansas City Royals Baseball
that
Academy.
Kaufman had built the academy, down there in spring training. That was the first school for a baseball school down there called the Academy at the Kansas City Royals. Mm-hmm. And in that academy, were now these names they will know. George Brett, UL Washington, Frank White. These were all of the ball players that I was rooming with. Actually, UL was my roommate.
Wow,
even when we went to Kingsport, UL was the shortstop on that Kingsport team. Joe Zeb. So these players, were all competing on the same level against major leaguers. And but at the academy, we all stayed and roomed together.
Okay. And now this is spring training is in Florida. You down in Florida at this time?
Yeah, down in Florida.
Okay.
So you was on the team with Brett and all y'all was in the same account. All y'all was in the same in the boat.
Same complex, playing against each other, and all of that.
Good times.
Okay.
Good times.
Great times.
Great time.
Right. Well, I missed all of that stuff. I just saw you when you came back. Tell us about the end of the road, man. As far as with the minors.
Ron Washington.
Yeah, Ron.
Ron Washington was the catcher. Actually, he played second base, shortstop, and a catcher. I think he's with because he was the manager of the Texas Rangers, for a few years when they were competing, for the World Series.
Exactly.
He was one of our roomies down there too, Ron Washington.
Okay, he was down there with some real prospects.
So you were with Kansas City in the minor leagues. What, 3-4 years you were down there with Kansas?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. The second year they sent me to Waterloo, which was like it wasn't double A, it was like high A.
Okay.
So at Waterloo, I played with Dennis Leonard. He was a major leaguer. He was on the team. He was one of their star pitchers. Dan Quisenberry, just a lot of players, like that were down there in Waterloo. So, but they only kept me at Waterloo for half the year, and then they sent me back to Kingsport. So I went to Kingsport to finish off my second year.
Okay.
So I was kind of really depressed because, I wasn't getting any help, and I'm trying to figure out what was going on. And they sent me back to Kingsport. So I got frustrated and said, I'm gonna just do what I need to do while I'm here and show them what I could do. As a result of them sending me back to Kingsport that second year, we ended up winning the championship of the league. Now they put me in the bullpen as a relief pitcher. So I led the league in saves during that time, and it was like 3 or 4 different leagues that were really, not leagues, but teams that were really going for a championship down there. But we ended up with a 52-11 record down there, in that second year. And I was the stopper. I was the relief man down there. So that was really, I had my best year. It was my best year down there that second year. And as a result of that, I was looking forward to going to Double A after that, and it didn't happen. And I couldn't understand it because at the end of the year they released me, and I'm trying to figure out what was going on. And I had a better year than I had the first year, and I didn't understand the politics of the game. That was something that comes into play that we don't even touch on, because if you don't have somebody pulling for you, a politician or somebody, what's going on with my guy down there, then you just really a number. And while I was at Kingsport, we had a lot of black ball players down there. At least we had 7 black ball players on the team. And that was a lot, for one team. And it was like, it's only so much room. It's only so much room on a major league roster anyway. So it's a numbers game as far as how much money that you are given once they draft you.
Right.
So if you're a high draft pick, they got to get their investment back some kind of way by, even if they're not as good as they thought, they're going to keep them because they got to get their money back some kind of way. So usually they end up being an organizational ball player, or even a coach at the end of their career, whatever. But Otherwise, other than that, they'll just release you, and you sitting here trying to figure out what's going on. But it's a numbers game.
Back then, did you think race had anything to do with it back then too? Because I was hearing you not getting any help or whatnot. Was race a factor? Was race a factor? You think?
Yeah, it was a big factor, and we realized that and understood that, but what could you do about it, I mean, you couldn't complain, that was a strike against you. So I said to myself, I'm going to enjoy this time that I'm here, because so many ball players that I played with and played against before I got here didn't get this far. So I'm blessed to be
absolutely
thankful and grateful. So I'm going to enjoy the time that I'm here, and then I'll have this story to tell in the future.
Absolutely. Okay.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot different now because the door is a little bit wider, but it was closed pretty tight back then.
Well, those doors open up because of cats like you. But now we can move along to some of this Chicago stuff, man. We're gonna get back to some Chi-Town stuff. So now you done came on back. So now we got the old man in the picture. Now I know Askew snatched you as soon as you got off that plane, did he?
Actually, he didn't.
Whoa, here we go.
Actually, he didn't. So when I first got back, I played with the team called the Palos Athletics. The Palos Hills.
Oh my time. Tell it.
Yep. Palos Hills. So I played out there for like 1 year, and then that Askew got a chance to see me play, then while I was playing with them. And that's when I started playing with Askew after that year.
Okay. Tell us about the legendary, I say the best team ever assembled at any level in the Chicago area. The Steel City Pirates. Would you agree with me? 1979. Tell us about that, man. Tell us the whole shenanigans.
1979 was the greatest year of my life in sports, playing ball. I had so much fun, playing with the team, playing against, traveling. We traveled all over the southern United States. Traveling team. It was like the Bingo Long All-Stars.
Hey, tell the people out there, name some of the ball players that was on this here team, brother. I know, but I want you to tell it because I was watching you guys. It's my era here.
Okay. We had Marty Murray leading off. We had at second base, Cornelius Knox at third base. Had Otis Irving at shortstop. Had
hold up. I want to go to the Steel City, not Askew. Go to the 79, the Steel City part with the ones with Roy Johnson and y'all.
Oh, okay. Now that team, we played in 3 different leagues during that time. 3 different leagues, and we played like a doubleheader on the weekend. We played at least 4 games a week. Traveling, going back and forth, and at that time I was working, so I would work and I'd get off at 4:30. The game started at 7, so wherever the game was, if I was either pitching or just had to be there, then I'd have to drive from my job after I got off and go to the game after that. If it was in Gary, Indiana, or Michigan City, or Northbrook, or any of those teams we played against, Lansing, all of those teams, Midlothian, it was just, and basically they were all white teams.
Right. Now,
so, and these was high competition teams, which no other black teams were really playing against these teams.
Now, what was y'all record?
What I believe that Askew did, and the way that he accumulated his players, in order to compete against those teams, he had to have the best ball players that he could find, and put them together so that he could compete. Because if you couldn't compete, those teams would embarrass you. They'd embarrass you. I mean, real quick, because they had Midlothian had a bunch of minor league and major league ball players on their team, Northbrook and all these other teams too.
Exactly.
But in the inner city, if you wasn't traveling, then you wasn't gonna play against those teams because they wasn't coming to play against you at Hamilton Park or Gately Park or Dunbar Park or any of those parks. So we had to go to them.
Right.
So ASQ was smart enough and wise enough to figure it out that if we gonna compete, then we gotta look like a pro and we gotta play like pros. And that's exactly what we did.
So all the games are on the road. All the games are on, no home games in that league. All the games are on the road.
All the games on the road.
Now,
we played at Gately. That was our home park was over there at 103rd and Cottage Grove over there by Corliss High School by Gately Stadium. But they didn't want to come over there, so we were on the road.
What about when you guys hooked up when it was like Steel City? I thought you guys y'all didn't play all the games over in Indiana, or y'all switched up? Because I remember you guys, I was going to the games and we were playing at the high school.
Yeah, we played, we switched up, when Gary, Indiana, Steel City, and those stadiums over there. So that was a great experience because, like I say, if you couldn't compete, you couldn't even play. You couldn't even play against those teams. So Mr. Beecham, the Steel City, Roosevelt got together with him and they combined this and they said, okay, then let's get the best of both teams and go at them.
That's the team I'm talking about right there. Who and that name some of the cats on them. That's the team I'm talking about.
Lloyd McClendon.
There we go.
Big Roy Johnson.
There we go.
Those were the two mainstays.
Hubby.
Crockett. And it was a lot of other guys, but it was like, players would come in, and it depends on who we played against because depending on where you live, you might have a player living in the suburb out there and either Roosevelt or Beecham would call them and say, we need you to play, then they would come and play. They had it tight.
Yeah,
it was a tight, situation as far as how they hooked it up and for us to play against those teams because they really wanted to play us, but they didn't think that we were good enough to beat them until we started beating them.
Tell the people out there what the record of this team was.
82-11.
82-11, and
now, can you imagine? That's almost 100 games in the summertime.
Yeah.
And how far did you guys go on the world scale when you guys went to the World Series that year? I never forget that year because I tell people over and over, 1979 was a deep year in baseball in Chicago overall because we were playing in a state championship that year. The Panthers, it was another of the older team, the smaller team under the Pirates with Kirby in them. They went to the championship. Our little league team went to the championship that year, and the big league team went to the championship at Jackie Robinson West. You remember that, Bill, don't you?
Absolutely.
So all of this stuff happened at the same time. So Chicago was really peaked out in 1979. It started. Yeah. And you guys were third in the nation.
Yeah, third in the nation, and actually Los Angeles, Memphis, and us, and they had to flip a coin to see who was going to play in for that championship game because if you lost the coin, then you had to play against the fourth, for second, for third, and fourth place.
Right.
So we lost the coin flip, and Memphis won. So Memphis did not want to play us because we had already beat them.
Right.
So they were hoping that they won that coin flip so that they didn't have to play us.
Now, where was this World Series
championship? And we played against, I forget the other team that we played against for third place, but we beat them too.
Where was that tournament played?
Battle Creek, Michigan.
Battle Creek. Okay. That's where every year it was up there. Battle Creek for a long time. That was the AABC. Was that the AABC or was that I forgot which tournament it was because we had so many.
Yeah, that was AABC.
Okay, bingo, double ABC. Yeah, later
Yeah,
on.
and at that game, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, he was at those games watching us.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's where Lloyd got drafted. Charlie Scott got drafted off of that team.
Wow, y'all had Charlie Scott on the squad too. Y'all had some
Yeah.
bad boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember that squad. I had Charlie Scott. Let me see. Crockett was
Alice
on that
King
team.
got
Alice
drafted
King.
off of that team.
Kansas City, yeah. Alice King. Dean Seats was on there. Dean got drafted from
Dean
that.
Seats got drafted off that team.
Dean Seats, that's the Antoine Walker's father. People out there, if you didn't a basketball player, Antoine Walker. His daddy was on that team. It's Dean Seats. Was Cliff Bailey was on that team. Cliff,
yep.
Reginald Dillard, Jackson State. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to name my guy. JoJo was on that team. Gerald Daly was on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was on that team? I'm missing some people. Big Wink was Winston on that team. Was Winston on that team?
No, Winston Cole was on the team.
None of them was on the team.
Was my roommate at Kansas City in Kingsport also.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep,
That's
yeah. He played with the Kansas City Royals, Kingsport, and then he got traded to the Pittsburgh Pirates. He got for somebody, I forget who it was, but he got traded and went to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Wow, okay.
So after having a bit of an up and down experience with the minor leagues, you left the minor leagues and came back to Chicago and had some of the best highlights of your career playing right here in Chicago.
Absolutely. You know, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us about, like, a lot of people don't know. We had like different leagues. You had the Greater Illinois. I remember that, played in that. Mm-hmm. We also had the Sullivan League.
Mm-hmm.
Sullivan League, and we had our own tournament called the Afro League. That was straight a black league with all the black teams. And a lot of people don't know, back then, we got like at the time, we had 3-4 million people in Chicago. And back then, the scouts actually came to the parks. Each park had some type of Connie Mack form, a little league, and also had semi-pro somewhere in the neighborhood. Every area, West Side, they had it like that, didn't it, Ron?
Yes, they did. And, I wish it could be like that. Again, I think we need to, figure out how we can get back into these parks because, it's really nothing for these children, these kids, these young people to do in the parks anymore. It's like they're scared to even go to the park.
Right. Well, back then they had the Mayor Deli Youth Foundation. I played in that. And the city, to me, before I even encountered with Jackie Robinson West, the City Park District Tournament was the business because the championship was played at White Sox Park. And I watched Otis and them, the big boys in my neighborhood, go and play in those games. And then later on, we did the same things. So that was like big stuff. And they had it at all levels: Little League, Pony League, and Connie Mack. All games, championship game, single elimination. And we played against the same cats that we played in high school, the Clementes, the Kennedys, and all of that, because they had parks in their neighborhood, and everything led to White Sox Park for the championships and all sports. I think was a demise in baseball because it stopped in the park districts, in the locals. Then it became, just the Southeast, the Jackie Robinson, the park district just totally omitted all of those programs, especially like baseball now. And that was sad. We don't have that anymore. But
I have a question for you. A lot of times we especially with pitchers, we hear about all these injuries and surgeries. How did you keep yourself healthy pitching all these games? And did you ever have to deal with any serious injuries during your career?
No, never, never any serious injuries. Of course, when you throwing, as fast as I was throwing, and as many pitches, because, if you walk 3 or 4 batters or they get 3 or 4 hits, make a few errors, you're going to throw a lot more pitches. But I never really had any arm problems at all during my career.
Well, for the record, let me let the people out there know. Well, by the time I played against you, Ron, you was throwing in the mid-90s then. So you was almost, you wasn't quite 40, but you was up there, and you were throwing in the mid-90s then. So I can imagine you were throwing in the upper 90s back when you was telling us them stories, because I saw heat, brother. You had it. Moving heat. I'm talking about moving heat. Yeah. How
my
hard
slider was my out pitch, really. That was, because having a good fastball, most ball players can hit a good fastball. So when you got a good slider, and you can throw that and make it break on that outside corner, then you can get a lot of strikeouts. So my strikeout pitch was actually my slider, and I figured that out once I got with Kansas City, because in the regular leagues and in the little leagues and all that, you can just throw a straight fastball and get by with it, but you can't do that up there. So that slider was really the out pitch for me.
I heard that, man. Well, hey, man, this has been a pleasure, man, a real pleasure, and you are very informative with Chicagoland baseball, and like I said, it was a pleasure for me. And by the way, people out there, Rome, with a push from a lot of the other old school cats, they promoted me to do this years ago, and I negated, and after seeing a few of the fellas, I felt pretty good about it, talking with Bill, and I think this is gonna work out. I think it's gonna be all right.
For sure. And I want to say, Bo, I appreciate you bringing me on and doing this podcast, doing this streamline, because we need this. We needed this for the young kids coming up, so that they can know their history and have somewhere where they can look and point and go towards and move forward with, because, without that, you don't know where you're going.
Absolutely. And you definitely an icon, and you're a good motivator, and it can be done. It's hard work. It's not easy at all. You live in proof of that, because, like I said, you one of the best I've ever seen. And if it was better than that, hey, make it happen. Well,
one more thing I want to add, Bo Rap, about that 79 team, right? How dominant that 79 team was, because we went down to Valhalla, Mississippi, and played against a team down there. And Askew put me in the game. Well, no, I started the game, and Askew said, just go as hard as you can go, as long as you can go. And I went down there, and I must have struck out the first 7 or 8 batters that I faced. And it was a 9-inning game, so I think I pitched about 8 innings, and I started running out of gas. Now, we were winning the game, but Askew said, I just want them to see, what you can do. So I think I struck out about 12 batters, during that game. But back then, we were playing like in the Dust Bowl, like in the dusty field, cornfields in the back, no grass on the infield.
Right.
It was real cloudy and dusty and all of that. And Askew, when he finally took me out the game, one of their ball players came over to me and said, why are you still here? He said, what are you doing here? I said, politics, it's just how it goes, But that was just one of the experiences that made me realize actually who I was and what I was doing. Because during that 79 year, Askew used to give out trophies, during the year, for best pitcher, most valuable player and all of that. So he gave out a trophy for the most valuable, for the best pitcher on the team. And guess who he gave the trophy to?
Charlie Scott. Yeah,
Charlie Scott had a great year. He had a great year. He didn't have a year better than me, but he had a great year.
That's Billy's boy there, Charlie.
And he told me why he gave him the best pitcher award. He said, because I'm trying to get him signed. You already been there. I'm trying to get Charlie signed. So, that motivated Charlie when he got to Battle Creek. He had a good game. He had some good, innings and stuff. But that year for me in 79, I pitched 4 no-hitters. Complete game no-hitters that year.
I saw one. I think I saw one of them. I think I saw one. I went to pretty much a lot of you guys' games before we started playing real tough. But
I never pitched that many no hitters in 1 year in my life.
You
But 79 for them.
Yeah, you one of the ones that got away, Rome. That's for sure. And I'm glad that I got a chance to see with these eyeballs. I saw you, and I got a chance to play with you. So and against you. So, like I said, this was the pleasure. You know, this is our first one, and we got many more to come. We're gonna do Melvin Jackson next. We're gonna do Melvin Jackson.
My man Mel.
Melvin Jackson, Mr. Smooth himself. I wish we could do Fred, and somewhere down the line we're gonna have to get some type of tribute to Freddie Andrews. But we're gonna make this happen, man. And I want to thank you for motivating me for doing this. And I always say this, and I'm gonna end it all like this. Hey, y'all, if you woke up today, you winning. You winning. What you gonna do with it? If you woke, you winning. We all winning, ain't that right, Mel? Wrong.
Absolutely. Let's make history.
That's right. So we're gonna sign out with this one, man. This was a pleasure, man. And I guess we can do it again, you know. And like I say, y'all, if you woke, you winning, y'all. We're gonna sign it out.
Okay? Peace.
Thanks again. Peace.
All right,
y'all.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you, man.
Okay. All right, Bill.